All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to talk about the 7-step, 12-minute manifesting routine that helped me hit my first $100,000 month cash collected in my coaching business. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see this. There is the Stripe screenshot to prove it, right? So from December 1st, 2024 to the 31st, you can see gross volume cash collected in our Stripe account is $102,500. And I can tell you with certainty that this wasn't like, let me back up for a second. If I was to have that Stripe screenshot where it shows you this month and it compares it to the previous period, our previous month was around, I can't remember, it was like 56K or 58K or something like that. But if this was comparing this month to last month, it was an 80% jump, right? Like the difference between November and December was 80%. Like that's how big of a jump this was. We just like doubled our business in the span of, it was 32 days of me following this practice, and we hit our first $100,000 month. And this was not a coincidence. Like I will show you later in this video, like I absolutely, like I wrote this number down. Like none of this was a coincidence. And I'm going to back this up in this video with some previous stories because this is not my first rodeo with manifesting crazy shit. And if you know, if you've seen any of my content on YouTube, on Instagram, whatever, you probably think I'm very much so a strategy person, and I am. Don't get me wrong. My background's engineering. I'm very methodical. Like I love systems and processes and all that stuff. However, I'm also not a stranger to the energy conversation, and if you've been following me for quite some time, maybe, just maybe, you've caught a glimpse of this, right? Like, I'm very familiar with Abraham Hicks and all that jazz. And, sometimes you'll catch me with my crystals or blah, 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 blah. So, anyways, just so you know, this video is really a lot less of a strategy conversation, and it's a lot more of an energy conversation, right? So let me keep rocking and rolling with this presentation, and forgive me if I'm a little rusty with long form content. So, anyways, this is my disclaimer for you. This is not a strategy conversation. This video is going to be way more on energy. Yeah, if you want help with strategy stuff, I will just say this: like this video or this diagram that's up on the screen, this is what we help people with. In order to do that $100,000 month, we definitely had the strategy, but we infused the energy with the strategy, and that's what made that happen, right? So I'll just say this video is about the energy conversation. If you need help with the strategy side of things, like, the marketing strategy, ads, sales, content, whatever, click the link below to book in a time to chat with my team. So that's all I will say about that. This video is very zoomed into the energy piece. Now, what I want to say is this is like not a coincidence, and it's not my first rodeo with this stuff. I have done this before. I have manifested crazy shit before, and this is actually how I first went full-time in my coaching business. Now, in this screenshot, you see, and I should actually probably zoom into that. Let me zoom into this just a little bit. So we'll do 2 more zooms. You can see me with this little, thing, and you can see this other girl in the photo. That was my mindset and business coach at the time. And you can see that it's written on there. It's May 17th. I don't know why it doesn't show the year, but I think it's May 17th, 2020. It says, proud of the habits coach on achieving her intention, 20K in 30 days. So this is back when I was coaching on more habits and nutrition and fitness type stuff. This is like 5 years ago at this point, basically. So anyways, my point is, and let me zoom back out, 2 zooms here. This is not my first rodeo. Like, I have done this before. And what I want to say that is like so crazy about this stuff is like, this was this time was 100% a quantum leap. Like, the most money that we had ever brought in cash collected until this point was 55K. And we'd been at 55K, like around 50K for July, August, September, October, November. Like 5 months were like very consistent. And just like, boom, set the intention. 30 days later, we crossed 100. Like, there's just no mistake here, right? And the other thing that I want to say is, like, if you know my backstory, you might know that I started in engineering in 2014. I started in engineering in 2014. I left engineering in 2014 because I just wasn't happy. I thought my soul was going to die if I kept going on that path. I was like, you know what? I've got the ladder leaned up against the wrong fucking wall. Like, I was literally like, I don't want to climb this ladder even. Like, why am I playing this game where I don't even want to win? And I went searching for whatever I was searching for. Honestly, at the time, it was like I was searching for my passion. I was searching for, a job that I loved. But, anyways, went searching in 2014. Started kind of coaching 2015 in CrossFit gyms and things like that. So I was like into the coaching world. I was working for this company who actually did sell online coaching programs back then. Like, I was trying to figure it out. Anyways, by 2016, I actually got let go from that job. They like let go of half the company. I was one of them. And then I was like, fuck, what am I going to do now? Like, how am I going to pay bills now? And so I picked up serving, waiting tables, so I could try to build my business on the side. But if you see this like photo on the left-hand side, this was the first serving job I had in 2016. Didn't have it figured out. The next one, 2017, still waiting tables. Didn't have it figured out. Actually saved up enough money in my savings that I could go full time. I thought I was never coming back. Nope, false, failed. Next year, 2018, got another serving job. Still didn't figure it out. And then the next year, 2019, I had a different job, a different serving job. Couldn't figure it out. And then I ended up like leaving those jobs because this person who was working at a startup wanted me to work for them to be their lead generation strategist. Fun fact, it was actually in the same building as Dan Martell's office. We were actually like next to them. Anyways, doesn't matter. But like my point is, like from 2014 to 2020, I was a broke coach, if you want to label me like that. Like I was making probably $500 or less a month with my coaching business. And you can imagine that if you try to do something for 5 years and you're still not successful 5 years later and you're still trying and quitting and failing and going around in circles, you can imagine that like going from making less than $500 a month for such a long period of time and then boom, in 1 month after setting an intention on a freaking sticky note 30 days later, that you just all of a sudden had a $20,000 month, right? Like you went from $500 a month to 20,000. That's like a 40x increase. That's a quantum fucking leap. And that didn't happen by accident. What happened back then is for whatever reason, I actually, so that startup that I got a job at, I was working in that job. And then again, it was just like this friggin' ping from the universe was just like, stop. It was like yelling at me. It was like, stop building other people's businesses. You don't want to do this. You want to build your own thing. Like I just couldn't ignore it. It made no sense for me to leave at the time, but I left. I jumped ship. I was like, you know what? I don't want to keep doing this. And I went on my own. I wasn't even making enough money at the time to pay rent. And probably about a month later, I was like, oh my God, I got to figure out how to make money. And at one point I was sitting at my desk. You know, yeah, I was sitting at my desk and it was so funny because like I was living like, I mean, I still live really frugally, but I was living with like nothing. Like had this like tiny room with like a maybe it was like a double bed in like a house with a bunch of other people, and my room and my office were the same, and it was like this tiny little janky desk. And I'm like sitting there, and for some crazy reason, I like this was probably a universe thing. I don't really know, but for some crazy reason, I got out this sticky note. I think it was a pink sticky note. There's pink sticky notes over there. Whatever. I got the blue one for now, but it was a pink sticky note. And I wrote $20,000 on this sticky note. And I remember looking at it and instantly my brain went to like, it just, without even thinking the thought, it's like somehow, I don't even know what possessed me to write it down, but I wrote it down and it's like when I wrote it down, I had this intention for it to be in a month. And then like my rational brain almost like, I can kind of remember this, like my rational brain caught me. And it was like, oh, like that's ridiculous. Like you can't make that in a month. Like why would you even write that down? Like it's like my inner critic came out. It's like why would you even write that down? And then but like as my inner critic was just like fighting with me and like why the hell did you write this on a sticky note? It's like there was like a something. Like a higher self, whatever you want to call it, higher self, God, the universe, whatever, that was like, but like why couldn't you do that? Like could you do that? Like is there even a 1% chance that you could do that? And as crazy as it sounded, I'm like, well, I mean, there's probably some degree of a percentage chance. It's probably less than 1%, but I mean, like, what if it was possible? Like, that's all I could think. And I was like, this is ludicrous. Like, this is actually ludicrous. But I was like, what's the worst that can happen? You don't hit it? Like, let's just fuck around and find out. Like, let's just fuck around and find out. And so I wrote the 20K on a sticky note, and I took this thing and I put it in front of my desk where I could see it, like above my computer. And I forget what my routine was back then, but it was something along the lines of like I was getting up every morning, I would look at the goal, I'd write down the goal. I think I walked outside. I think I would like look at the goal. I can't remember which order I did this, but I think I would like look at the goal. I may or may not have written down like affirmations. Um, Maybe it was this. Okay, I'm gonna try to. I can't remember. I'm gonna give you what I used to do at this time, but I'm just trying to explain to you like this has happened twice. So, there's like two very massive, clear quantum leaps. I think I would look at the goal, or maybe you know what? Maybe this is what it was. I think I would get up. I would do what I need to do. I'd drink my water. I'd go outside, and I'd put on this podcast into my headphones. It was this episode. If you look up James Wedmore and Catherine Zenkina, best of manifesting your best year yet. This was the podcast. I think it's like 45 minutes. Anyways, I'd put this on my ears and I would walk around Kelowna, BC. This was back when I was living in Kelowna, BC. Like I said, I was in the same town as Dan, was working in his, the same building he was in, whatever. I'd walk around Kelowna, BC, and I'd have this stuff in my headphones. And I would walk around and listen to this podcast because I thought it was so good and it was about manifesting. And basically what I did for 45 minutes every morning, I would brainwash myself. I would basically brainwash myself and hype myself up and get into some weird energetic space where I thought that this was possible, right? Because if you would look at the backstory, it was absolutely impossible. But I would hype myself up and I would just like wake up, do whatever I needed to do, and then go outside for the walk, 45 minutes with this headphone, and I would listen and I would just like get inspired. And then I think I was coming back, I was sitting at my desk, I was looking at the goal. So I was inspired, and then I would look at the goal. I may or may not have even written down some affirmations like, thank you so much for the $20,000 month. I know I was doing that at some point. And then I would decide, okay, what are the next 1 to 3 things I can do to take inspired action toward hitting this goal, making it a reality? And I just did that every single day for about 30 days. And that is when I had that first $20,000 month. Like, I can't tell you how crazy this was at the time. Like, again, like I can't even feel how crazy it is anymore because like I'm not there anymore. Like I can't even tap into it. But it's just like my mind was so blown. Like I remember at one point when I started to this was like maybe 25 days in or 20 days in. I actually remember at one point being on a mastermind call with some people and I was like, guys, as sure as the sun is going to come up tomorrow, I am going to hit this goal. I cannot tell you what it is, but I can tell you that I'm going to hit it. I was like another level of convicted. Like it was crazy. And then there was this moment where I was like going to hit the goal. And I remember like after the walk listening to the podcast and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually making this money. Like I think I actually might hit this crazy goal. And I remember like trying to make breakfast and reaching into the crisper at the bottom of my fridge and literally like I was having crazy thoughts. Like it was like, oh my God, like, is it even safe to make this much money? Like, what are my friends going to think? Like, this is crazy. Like, do I even deserve this? Like, it was insane. So, anyways, all that to say, like, this took me from being again, back to the strategy and energy conversation. Keep in mind that at this point, I had already gathered the strategy. I would say 6 months prior to this, I had invested my first $3,000 in this do-it-yourself online course. I had hired the mindset and business coach. I had gotten picked up by that company who wanted me to be their lead generation strategist. I went through a $15,000 training program with those guys to learn a bunch of stuff. And I'd worked for them for 3 months and then I left because I still wanted to do my own thing. So don't get me wrong. Plus I had the years of previous experience of trying things, failing, building my business, working for that other company that was online, doing their social media marketing. Like I had a lot of the pieces, but I was still broke. But like, keep in mind, like I had gathered the strategy, but the thing that shifted it for me was the energetic shit, right? So it's not like I had no strategy and I had no idea what was going on and I just like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that could happen too, because like honestly, this shit's crazy. Like sometimes you get so aligned with the energy that you can create the strategy, if that makes sense. You have to be another level of crazy for that, for sure. But anyways, my point is I already had the pieces of the strategy. I had put in the time. I had got the mentors. I bought the courses. I had the jobs, right? But it still wasn't clicking. And then this was the catalyst, let's call it. It's what made everything click together. So anyways, and that's when I had my first like $20,000 month. Like this was how I went full time in business. So let's keep rocking and rolling with this. Now, it brings me to this book, okay? The Quantum Leap Strategy. Why did I decide to try this again? Because if I'm being honest, for the most part, I had this really big experience with it in 2020, which allowed me to go from being a broke coach to having a $20,000 month, and that was like when I actually went full time and never looked back. Um, and I kind of used it here and there after that. To be fair, like I did manifest at one point my first $40,000 month. That was maybe 6 months after I went kind of full time. Sold out a big launch and whatever. Um, and I do remember using this. Like I do remember writing down in a journal. Like I'm talking like the whole page, 40 lines filled of like, thank you so much for the $40,000 month. Thank you so much for the X number of beautiful humans in my program. Like I was still doing that, but like it dawned on me. Basically, what happened? It dawned on me. I guess it was about 2 months ago now. What happened was, so this guy who wrote this Quantum Leap book, his name is Price Pritchett. He wrote this book, but basically what happened was my friend, when I got into Las Vegas, like I travel back and forth all the time between Canada and Vegas and all these other countries. Anyways, I got into Las Vegas. A friend that was there gave me this book called Lucky You. So he'd previously given me this book written by this Price guy, called, what was it called? It was called U Squared. If you've never read it, it's actually pretty good. But anyways, U Squared. And then he had given me this other book by Price, and it was called Lucky You. And then in his books, he shows you like some of his other books that are available, and he had this thing called the Quantum Leap Strategy. And so one day I decide to read this book, and I'm sitting on my sofa and I'm reading this book, and I'm like, you know what, this is super good. And then there's a page, and I'm gonna read this to you in a second. Where is it? Where is this page? Okay, pages 14 and 15. It says rely on the unseen forces, and it talks about this manifesting routine, which I'm going to break down for you in a second, which is the whole point of this freaking video, right? But I really want to sell you on how crazy this is. Like it blows my mind still to this day. So anyways, I'm reading this, and as I'm reading this, and I'm like a third of the way through the book, it freaking dawns on me, and I'm like, why did I ever get away from doing that? Like, why did I ever get away from that, like, crazy batshit energetic manifesting stuff, like that, like delusional brainwashy stuff, like getting real intentional with what you want and like looking at it every day, like getting weird about it, you know? I was like, why did I ever stop doing that? And I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, you know what? I think I might try this again. And I can't remember what day it was. Like, let me just look. Let me just look at what day this was. Day one. Day 3 was November 30th. So I started like at the last week in November. I started like reading this book. And anyways, I was like, you know what? I'm going to implement this again. So let me just read you. I'm just going to read you this chapter in the book and give you this exercise because like this is 100% what I did. And for the record, after this, I'm going to show you what my journal looked like, and I'm going to show you like what I was writing down, why I was writing it down, because the execution of this is very important. Like if you do this but you like don't really do it in the right way, it doesn't have the same effect. So if I read you this, I'm only going to read you pages 14 and 15. So if you want to pick up this book, 10 out of 10 recommend, 11 out of 10 recommend, but just keep in mind reading the book won't do shit. Like you have to do the exercise in here, and you have to do the exercise right. So the book's amazing, but just know like if you just get the book and you don't do anything, like you've wasted your time. So anyways, let me read this. So page 14, rely on the unseen forces. Like this is where you get into the same stuff where it's like the Think and Grow Rich, the Hicks stuff. Like everyone's saying the same stuff. Do you think they're saying the same stuff for a reason? Just as a side quest. But anyways, maybe you've heard or read something about the unseen forces phenomenon, but have never explored it personally. Most people, in fact, never really use this invisible source of tremendous power and value. It typically lies dormant, like a computer or TV that isn't turned on, or a telephone no one has charged. Medical research and psychological studies have repeatedly documented the effectiveness of techniques such as these, but you may remain skeptical about the whole concept, which is why I'm trying to sell you on this so that you're a little bit less skeptical. If you're already bought into this stuff, then this doesn't matter. But regardless, anyways, you may remain skeptical about the whole concept. That's fine. Just be open-minded enough to run your own experiment. Find your own proof. I'm trying to give you my proof so you can understand here. And this is coming from the strategy chick, okay? It might help you to think of yourself as a receiving set. You have to tune in to the unseen forces. Get on the right wavelength. And there's a simple process to follow in doing that. You start the process when you write down a clear, concise, very specific description of your goal. The unseen forces need to know what you want to do, where you're headed, what you're trying to achieve in your quantum leap. Now, with this crystal clear picture in your mind, add this 12-minute quantum leap ritual to your daily routine. Number 1, get still. And I actually have a different numbering system for this. And by the way, if you want me to send you a cheat sheet on like with the music playlist I use on Spotify for this, which like makes it so much better, the exact 7 steps, all this stuff, instead of just hearing me say it audio version, just go to my Instagram page and DM me manifesting, like all capital letters manifesting, and I'll just send you this whole cheat sheet. So don't feel like you need to like write all this down or whatever. But anyways, so first, get still, relaxed. Then, get still, relax. Then draw a picture or a symbol of what will represent U squared, right? Meaning like the exponential version of you, essentially, is what U squared means. Just sketch it in a notebook, personal log, or daily calendar book. Alternative, if you have a photo or picture of your goal, or one that symbolizes your goal, lightly trace around the edges of it with your finger. As you do this, imagine yourself being there, having accomplished your quantum leap. Then read your goal out loud to yourself. Make sure your objective is stated in the affirmative as if you've already achieved it. So once you write down, you have like the symbol or the goal I was putting in the center of the page. You say it in the affirmative. So for me, I was saying, thank you for the $100,000 month heart, right? Like that, like I like the hearts because to me, that means like gratitude, like you're grateful for it having already happened. But the key is you got to state it in the affirmative, right? And then next, mentally picture U squared. Keep this visual image in your mind for 10 minutes. Just hold it there, thinking through such details as how success, will feel, sound, taste, smell, or look. Bring the results of your quantum leap alive in your mind with all the little specific details you can think of. Let your 5 senses work on, I guess there's actually a page and a half here. Anyways, work on that. And your 6th sense will begin to work with the unseen forces. This is how you turn on your receiver for these phantom powers. The last step in this 12-minute ritual is to write down in your notebook 1 or more insights, ideas, or action steps that come to you. It's kind of similar to how when I was writing things down, I would like write down the inspired action. Yeah, I obviously didn't read this book before, but it's similar. But anyways, write down in your notebook 1 or more insights, ideas, or action steps that come to you. If you come up blank, just quickly jot down whatever floats through your mind. Then write this. I'm making a quantum leap. I know exactly where I'm going, and I'm open to the unexpected. Just scribble that down in your book or calendar. The last step is date it, and he says always write these things down to close out the quantum leap ritual. So he says follow this routine at least once a day, preferably once in the morning and again in the evening. I only really did it in the morning, to be honest. The power of this little exercise is truly staggering, but be patient. The payoff can be subtle, and sometimes it comes suddenly and dramatically when you least expect it. The unseen forces work around the clock, 24 hours a day, so results could come at any time and may take many forms. Just turn on the receiver through this simple process and do it regularly. The major forces of the universe are invisible, and you can use them for free. So that's basically what it is. And again, if you need, like, I just verbally gave that all to you. If you want this in a nice Google Doc with the format and my playlist and all that jazz, just DM me manifesting on Instagram. I'm pretty sure my link to my Instagram is below this video. So you can just click the link and just DM me, all capital letters, manifesting. Anyways, and then the other things that's written in here is it says how many 12-minute periods, just it's like this little stuff written on the side. It says how many 12-minute periods of wasted, unproductive time do you lose during the typical day, right? When could you regularly schedule this quantum leap ritual? When might you slip in additional 12-minute periods throughout the course of the day? So he's like asking you to think about this. It's like, really, guys? You can't spend 12 minutes a day to manifest quite literally almost whatever the fuck you want, right? And then he says, like, when could you regularly schedule this? For me, I wrote 5 a.m. because that's like when I was waking up, right? That was like my morning routine. So that's the ritual. Now, again, if you need this, just DM me manifesting and I'll send it over. But what I want to show you, specifically how this looked for me because this is actually really important. So, oh yeah, I already said that. So if you need the cheat sheet for this exercise, just DM me manifesting all caps on IG. Anyways, how this looked for me, super important details. So this journal in my hand, like, is the journal I use to do it. I went to Barnes and Noble. I got a specific journal for manifesting. Like, I set myself up for this. I was like, I'm only going to use this journal for manifesting, right? And you can see, like, I don't know if you can see this. You can see, like, day one, whatever. I'm just going to use what's on the screen, but you can see, like, just like days and days and days and days of me writing this in a row. All in all, I think it took me, if I look day 30, day 32, yeah, I think it was only 32 days. So let me talk about this, what's on the screen. I'm going to zoom in here, probably one zoom, maybe two. Yeah, two zooms. So this is what I would do. So, and again, I've got this written in that document too. I tweaked it a little bit for me. So I did it slightly differently. But the first thing that I would do is I would come into my space and I would put my headphones on and I'd put on really great music. And my playlist is in that document that I was talking about. So if you want the playlist, get the document. But anyways, I'd put on my playlist, which was just like I found to be really good music for manifesting. And then let me grab this. I would use this and I would set the 12-minute timer. And then the next thing that I would do is I would go right to this stuff in the center. I would write down what the thing was. Like, remember how he talked about a clear, concise goal? The first place that I would go on the page is I would write down like $, $100,000 cash month. That was the big idea, the big goal that was very specific and tangible, right? So I put the music on. I set the timer. I wrote down the goal in the center, and then I would write down the thing that he told me to write down in the affirmative. So you can see here on the left, it literally said, thank you for the $100,000 cash month with a heart. And I would say it out loud. Like, I'm listening to the music, but I would still say it out loud. What he's trying to get you to do is he's trying to get you to be able to see it, right? To be able to audibly speak it, right? To be able to get it in as many like audible sensory ways as you can. So anyways, music, timer, I'd write down the goal in the center. I'd write it down like as stated in the affirmative, which for me was thank you for the $100,000 cash month heart. And I would say this out loud, like while or right after I wrote it. And then I would just sit there with the space, right? I would have about 10 minutes where like I just sat there. And I had my music on. I was feeling good. I was looking at the thing and I was just thinking about it. I would just letting the ideas percolate. I was like letting them come to me. And I just started writing down intentions, right? So, for example, one thing that I wrote was world-class coaching business. And you can see circled here is NPS 95 plus. The reason that I wrote this down is because yes, the $100,000 cash month was specific. But to me, if I was to hit a $100,000 cash month and my client delivery wasn't where I wanted it to be, that would feel very fucking empty to me, right? Like if my program sucked, like that would feel very fucking empty. And like an intention that goes with this, although this is the very specific big thing, was like I am driven by creating a world-class coaching business. And NPS score it's a client success metric. It's called Net Promoter Score or NPS score. And if you look this up, Tesla has a very high NPS score. It's like 95 plus. Some other really big companies like Apple or Amazon or things like that have like 72 out of 100, which is like a very good score. But like Tesla is world class, right? And I just want that for my coaching business. Like I want it to be world class. Like that is just like excellence is just like that's what I want. And so I wrote that down too, right? And as you're writing it, you're thinking about it. You're like it just happens naturally, right? Like I'm writing it down, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about the NPS score, I'm thinking about the intention. And then something else that I sometimes you're trying to you're just trying to get as many things involved as you can with your senses, whether that's like see, right? You can see it written on your page. Hear, I mean, technically, I guess I could hear the music, but I mean, audibly saying it, like you can kind of hear it, like speak it. Um, you know, now feel or like taste or things like that. Like if you can bring that into the experience, it's great. But like, I would just write this down and I would just sit there and I would think. And then I remember like just drawing this. And this is a trophy from a mentor that I have. And he gives out trophies when you hit $100,000 a month. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to draw that. And when I drew it, I thought about it. Like I thought about like getting that. I thought about this person being proud of me. I thought about me being proud of me, right? Like I thought about those types of things. What does this say? Let me just look at day 30 because I can't read that. But it's like I'm getting other people involved, right? I'm like, how is it going to feel when you reach out to this person and you tell them that they hit this? How's it going to feel when they take your screenshot from the Wins channel and post it on their socials? How's it going to feel when like this trophy shows up, right? Other things that I would do is I would think about how people were going to benefit. Like I would think about how, you know, Mika on my team would benefit, or how like other people I had on the team would benefit from this. I thought about being able to send them a way bigger paycheck than they're used to getting, and how stoked they would be. Like at this like thing here where it says like you can see me drawing the acquisition.com building, right? Um, I didn't like on day one, my I didn't have that building drawn, but at some point while I was thinking about this stuff, I was like, you know what? What if when I get to this $100,000 month, what that's going to mean is that I'm going to apply for the acquisition workshop and hope that we can get in, right? And so it's like, it's not just the thing, but it's like, what does that thing mean? What's going to happen? Who are you going to be with? Who's it going to benefit, right? And so what happened one day, I was like just doing my morning routine thing in the dark, right, with my candle and whatever. And I was thinking, I'm like, if I hit that, I think this would be the time to go to the acquisition workshop. And then I got on my phone and I started looking up the acquisition workshop. Like I drew it to the T. Like this is it. There's this little thing on the side. Like I knew that there's the symbol in the acquisition.com. I would draw it because I knew like the entrance doors was right under the C. There was like a pillar right under the C here. I would draw like this is exactly how it looks with the 3 steps. I even put 2960, which is the actual number for the fucking building, right? And then I drew me and my 2 team members who were going to benefit from this experience. Like I would think about the selfie I was going to take in front of the building. Like it was like, you know what I mean? Like it just gets crazy. Like once you start letting these ideas come to you, like it just one idea creates more ideas and they create other ideas and it becomes this very real specific thing with a lot of emotion around it. And like that's what brings it to you, right? I wrote this missionary over mercenary, which is a saying that I got from Alex Hormozy, which is like if you're a missionary, you're doing things for the mission, you're not necessarily doing things for the money. If you're a mercenary, you're doing shit because you got paid. You may not care about the mission, but you got paid. But like for me, I care more about the mission than the money. Obviously, the money's still a part of it, but it's like that's the intention I want to bring in just in general, right? It just, I don't know, it just came to me and so I wrote it down. Love, I just wrote that down because it's like, I don't know, it's what I just hope to channel in general as a human, whether that's to people in my life, people on the team, clients, trying to help coaches make money because I was a broke coach forever. Like what, like just an intention, right? And then here, there's this list, these asterisks: Eduardo, Ashley, Mika, Ronaldo, Tarek, mom and dad, CSS team, Sam, Alex, K. Like these are all people that are in my corner. They're like a lot of them are mentors. They're people that work on the team. They're close friends or they're my family, right? And so I was thinking about like I'd love to be able to send them that screenshot. Like, wouldn't that be crazy when I call mom and tell her this? Like, whatever, right? but it's like you get the point. It's just like, you know, again, you sit down, put the music on. I find that really helps me to get into a higher vibe. It's got to be, you know, a certain type of music, I would say. Again, if you want the playlist, DM me manifesting on Instagram, but you get the drift. But music, timer, write down the goal, like write it and state it in the affirmative, and then you're just like sitting there, and you've got this music going, you're vibing, and you're letting things come to you. And when they come to you, you write them down. And like for example, with the acquisition workshop building, it was like 100,000. And then it jumped to this thought of like, well, what if that 100,000 I applied for the acquisition thing? And then that jumped to like, I should draw the acquisition thing. And then I'm on things drawing it up. And then I'm drawing, like, I'm looking it up on what it looks like. And then I'm drawing it on the page. And then I'm like, well, wouldn't that be cool if I brought team members? And it just spiraled into this whole thing, right? So that's really how it was. Now, at the end, this is how he recommends that you close it off. And I probably should have said this too at the beginning. At the top of every page before I started any of this, like right after I put the music on, I set the timer before I did anything else. And again, this is in the document and it's in better order than now. But I wrote down like day 30 and I would write down like the date. And then before you close it out, he recommends writing this. I'm making a quantum leap. I know exactly where I'm going and I'm open to the unexpected. And then you close it out, right? That's pretty much it. So that is the 12-minute routine. Again, DM me manifesting if you want me to send you the document on that. Now, what else do I have to say? Yep, already said that. And then the other thing I will just say too is, again, this is about the energy conversation. It is a massive part of it. This is not about the strategy conversation. If you want help with the strategy stuff, if you want help from me and the team, click the link below to book in a call with us. But other than that, I really don't have anything to say. If you want that document, DM us on Instagram and we can get that to you. Just DM us manifesting. But like seriously, guys, this is how it happened. Like, yes, we have the strategy. Like, yes, there's strategy involved, but we've been executing that strategy for a hot minute. The biggest thing for sure that shifted is, I would say, the energetic piece, and it's putting this in my morning routine every single day. And so I hope this helps a ton. I hope this was valuable for you. If you're already into the energy stuff, I hope this gives you something solid to do and reminds you that you should be doing that. Or no, I don't even like that word. I don't like that word. I'm taking that out. There's no should. That maybe this will be helpful for you to do this. And if you're not into this stuff yet, and for whatever reason, there's like a big ceiling that you want to break through, I recommend giving it a shot. And again, this is coming from the strategy chick, straight up. So yeah, I'm very logical, but like the energy stuff does work. So that's it. Lots of love. If you want help with the strategy stuff, click the link below to book in a call with my team. And if you want this document with the playlist and the steps and all that jazz written out as a cheat sheet, just go to my Instagram page. I'm just at I am Morgan Gillis on Instagram. I think there's also a link to my Instagram below this video. DM us manifesting, and we'd love to send it over. That's it. Lots of love. Bye. I hope this was super helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.